If all of you are going to buy RAV4s, we are going to buy one too. It's been a very busy month in our garage for the Edmunds one-year road test program because we've added not one, not two, not three, but 4 new vehicles in the past 30 days or so, and they are all blue. Not on purpose, I promise. We are not Tobias Funke. We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us. We'll start with the most noteworthy new entrant, this Toyota RAV4 hybrid, because our garage, it just wouldn't be complete without the best-selling vehicle in America inside of it. Now the RAV4, it starts at just over $33,000, but this XLE Premium with all-wheel drive, it costs us just over $38,000. But of course, what you're actually going to pay for any new car depends on dealers in your area. That's why, lucky for you, we've got tools on our site that tell you what you should pay so you know if you're getting a good deal. Links for all the cars in this video are down in the description, or just scan the QR code. The RAV4 has an Edmunds rating of 8.1, and that's a score that we consider to be excellent. And that's good enough to currently place it 3rd in our small SUV rankings, just behind the Korean duo of the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid and Kia Sportage Hybrid. I love the small item storage in this vehicle. It's got a space for everything. I fit in my pouch. We are excited to welcome this particular trim of the RAV4 because it's the mainstream one. It's the one that most people will buy. Now, we've featured the Limited previously in our videos, and it's very nice. It's got all the bells and whistles, but this XLE Premium, this will give us a better sense of what people out there are living with day to day, and we are looking forward to see how it holds up over a year and about 20,000 miles. Now, the materials are certainly a step down from what you're getting on the top trims on the RAV4, and you're getting synthetic leather on the seats instead of the real stuff. And this interior, it does have a lot of plastic in it. Now, at first glance, it all looks and feels pretty durable, but we're already seeing some wear and tear on the plastic parts, especially around the doors, and that's something we're going to keep a close eye on in this vehicle's time with us. Our RAV4 does come with the smaller of the 2 available infotainment screens for this vehicle. It's at 10.5 instead of 12.9 inches, but if we're being honest, we don't actually miss the larger screen at all. The size of this one feels perfect for this vehicle, and I really like the placement of it because it's very easy to reach for both front passengers. It's also running Toyota's latest infotainment system, which is a big upgrade over the old one. And of course, there's wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay backing it up. And as a bonus, this digital instrument cluster is going to come standard, and you can even mirror directions from Google Maps or Apple Maps right here, depending on which technology you're using to connect. Now, charging options are also a big strength on the RAV4. 5 USB-C charging ports, 1 for each passenger, and these 2 up here in particular are worth highlighting because they charge at 45 watts, and that's about 3 times faster than the USB ports in most vehicles. The control scheme is also pretty good. Some of the climate controls do live up here, but at least you're getting a knob for volume and buttons to control temperature, so that's a bonus. One final feature that's worth noting, you're also going to get a standard dash cam in the RAV4, and that's a feature that most vehicles don't even offer at all. One of the RAV4's few demerits is that its back seat, it is on the smaller side. Now, adult passengers, they're going to fit okay with decent legroom and headroom, but it's definitely not as expansive as the back seats you're going to find in the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid and the Honda CR-V. And if you have young children, installing car seats is also going to be a bit more difficult. The lower latch anchors are a bit tough to access, and the rear doors don't open that wide. I predict that this is going to be one of the busier members of our fleet because the RAV4 is simply very easy to live with day to day. Now, there's one more thing we're going to be keeping a very close eye on with this vehicle, and that's going to be fuel economy because it's one of the RAV4's main selling points. Even with all-wheel drive, this thing is going to return an EPA estimated 41 mpg combined, and we hope that it actually beats that figure in its time with us. Fingers crossed. While the RAV4 has an intense emphasis on practicality, this next car, it's all about the fun, and that's why it's the vehicle I'm most excited to see take a spot in our garage. This is the Acura Integra Type S. Starts just over $55,000. In this example, it costs a bit more thanks to this stunning double apex blue paint job. I absolutely love this color. I think it works super well with the copper wheels. This car just looks absolutely fantastic. Now, many of the cars in our 1-year road test program, we buy them like the RAV4, but some of them we get on loan from the manufacturer. So Acura gave us this car for a year. A big thank you to them. Obviously, the biggest counterpoint to this vehicle is going to be the Civic Type R, with the two sedans sharing the same platform and the same powertrain. But think of this as a more mature, toned-down version of that vehicle. The Type R, of course, has that giant boy racer spoiler on the back. This one has a much more nicely integrated ducktail spoiler that's a bit more subtle and definitely more my speed as someone who just hit the wrong side of 40. I think this means that I've officially reached UNC status. This thing is just absolutely lovely to drive. If I were to put together a wish list for a performance vehicle, this thing checks pretty much all those boxes. Great 6-speed manual, turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 320 horsepower. That's 5 more than the Civic Type R. And summer tires at all 4 corners. Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, one of my favorite tires on a performance vehicle. Now, the suspension, it is a touch softer than what you're getting in the Honda, but I think that I prefer that, especially if this is a vehicle that you're going to live with day to day. And when you put it in Sport Plus, it definitely stiffens up enough to give you a good time from behind the wheel. Now, when it comes to the numbers, this is a bit slower than the Type R when it comes to 0 to 60 and the quarter mile, but it did match the Honda exactly in braking and, most importantly, on our skid pad. So that softer suspension doesn't seem to really cost you anything in terms of grip. I'm also a really big fan of these seats. The ones in the Honda, they're a bit more aggressive. They have a lot more bolstering, which makes them maybe a bit better on a track. But again, if we're talking day-to-day livability, this Type S, it just does it really, really well while still being plenty fun for a weekend drive. Now, this interior looks very similar to what you're getting in the Civic Type R, just classed up a little bit thanks to that Acura badge. Is it luxury grade? Not quite, but do we like it a lot? We do, for a few key reasons. The first one being an ultra simple, ultra easy to use control scheme. All the different climate functions have a knob or a button. That's perfect, especially for the heated seats. Love not having to go into the screen for that. Small item storage is also decent. You got a bin here and some pretty big cup holders, which is good for a sedan. And one more thing to note, the Integra, it does only seat 4 people. So if you're looking to carry 5 people regularly, this is not gonna quite get the job done for you, though it does have 5 USB charging ports. The technology is where the Integra is going to feel the most dated. It's only got a 9-inch screen, and that's the only screen that you can get on this vehicle. Now, it doesn't even have native navigation, but you are at least getting wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to back you up, so I don't mind that too much. But compared to anything modern that you're gonna find in like a BMW or a Mercedes, this is just gonna feel a touch behind, and it also doesn't offer things like a surround view camera. Now, in this video, we're giving you a pretty high-level look at all of these vehicles, but if you want more details, head over to our site. That's where you'll find our full rankings and reviews and ratings, and we update all of those things constantly. As I said before, I'm just really excited to have this thing in our garage. A fun car with a manual transmission is my personal automotive love language, and I look forward to getting into this thing as much as humanly possible over the next 12 months. Now it's time to head back into the darker shades of blue with our new Subaru Outback. The Outback, it starts in the mid-30,000s, but this touring XT example that we bought with the upgraded engine, better interior, and intriguing technology features costs just over $50,000. This thing, it has an Edmunds rating of 7.6 out of 10, and that is good enough to put it at the very top of our 2-row midsize SUV rankings, just beating the Honda Passport. That is a great video to check out if you're looking for more details about the Subaru or the Honda, and it was one of our more surprising comparison test results from last year. I was shocked, and I was hosting the damn thing. A big reason that the Outback was able to pull off the upset was this right here. Now, the Outback is actually the second Subaru that we have in our garage. Last year, we got a Forester hybrid, and most of our complaints about that vehicle, they have centered around its screen. To fix that, Subaru took the screen, flipped it horizontally, which is the right move, but more importantly, they put in a brand new infotainment system, and this one feels a lot more modern and snappy, and this screen actually responds when you press on it. But the biggest thing that is fixed is startup times. No more turning on the vehicle and waiting for a minute or two for the screen to boot up behind it. I also love that when you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or even the native navigation, you can actually mirror the screens from here onto the instrument cluster right here in front of the driver, and that frees up the screen to be used for other things. One thing to note though, if you're using Android Auto, you can use Google Maps for this, but if you're using Apple CarPlay, you're going to be limited to using Apple Maps. Those two, they just can't seem to really get along. Now, the technology in this vehicle, it's not perfect. There are still a few quirks, especially when it comes to the driver aids. Those systems, they love to beep at you, so we actually turned off the driver attention monitor, and we had to turn off the feature that made it beep every time a car moved in front of you while you're using the adaptive cruise control. And the surround view camera, it's pretty good, but if you're using it in reverse, when you shift into drive, it doesn't move to the forward camera. That's something that most other cars will do automatically. But all that being said, this is a massive upgrade in the tech department for the Outback and for, we think, all Subarus going forward that get to use this system. Now, the Outback's back seat is fantastic. It's super roomy. Even if you're well over 6 feet tall, you're gonna have plenty of headroom, and all this space makes installing car seats really easy. You're also getting pretty good features back here in the Touring XT with heated outboard rear seats, USB ports, and air vents. Everything that you would want for a nice long trip back here. And we also want to note that the visibility out of this car is excellent, even for passengers sitting in the back seat. The only thing that you can't really see is the hood of the car when you're driving because it's a bit flat in the front. But other than that, no complaints. Now, we have to take a second to talk about the Outback styling because traditionally, this vehicle always looked more like a wagon. However, with this new generation, it took a hard right turn down a dirt road straight into SUV land. And while I will say that I've gotten a bit more used to the look of it, it's not something that I would ever call particularly good looking. However, what you can't deny is that its new SUV shape has positively impacted the cargo area. 34.6 cubic feet of space behind its back seat, but the bigger change is the shape of the cargo area. It's now more rectangular than before, and that makes it much easier to fit larger and especially taller items. Now, if you drop that back seat by the handy pulls in the cargo area, you're gonna get just over 80 cubic feet of cargo space, and that is a lot for a midsize SUV. We are also big fans of how the Outback drives, especially with the turbocharged engine under the hood. It's a very responsive powertrain, and the ride quality and comfort are both way better than we expected as well. The Outback, it used to be a vehicle that you would buy in spite of some clear flaws, but with those rough edges getting smoothed out, this is now an SUV that we can recommend with few caveats. All that's left now is to get a wilderness version of one of these in to see how well it does off-road. And when it comes, that'll be a great day at the office, or should I say, out of it. And now we come to the final recent addition to our garage, this Chevrolet Bolt EV, which immediately becomes the cheapest car down there by a good margin. We celebrate the return of the Bolt after it was gone for a couple years because we just simply need more affordable EVs on the market. It shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg to switch from gas and electric, and we're hoping that the Bolt is just the first of a bunch of affordable electric vehicles to come. Now, this starts at just under $29,000, and Chevy also offers it in a sportier looking RS version. But we want to keep that price tag as low as possible, so this is an LT. We added one package to it, and that added heated front seats, a heated steering wheel, and a powered driver's seat, and that put the price at just over $30,000. So, what does 30 grand of electric vehicle get you these days? Let's find out together. We recently filmed a track-tested video with an RS version of the Bolt, so for more details about this vehicle, be sure to check that video out. It was a really fun one to make. Now, our Bolt might look a little bit tamer than that orange Fireball, but it's going to have the same powertrain setup, single motor front wheel drive, and should have roughly the same performance. That RS package is, again, mostly just for show. That also means that this should have basically the same range. The Bolt gets an EPA estimated 262 miles of range on a full charge. However, on the Edmunds EV range test, where we take every EV that comes through our office through a mix of city and highway driving to get a better, more accurate sense of its real world range, this vehicle covered 290 miles. And that means for every $1,000 you're spending, you're getting about 10 miles of range, and that is phenomenal. These inserts allow you to change up this little bin into whatever configuration you would like. You can have 2 cup holders, you can have 1 cup holder, and you can have no cup holders. And it just gets better from there. You've got a pair of shelves in front of the passenger. You've got another shelf here under the screen. And down here, you've even got a bin with a 3rd cup holder with an insert that you can remove once more. Now, stuff that you put down there, it will be hard to reach it while you're driving. So anything you put down there, make sure you won't need it until you stop again. Now, even though the storage is good, the rest of the interior, it's not really great, as you might expect for a car with this low of a price tag. There's a lot of plastic in this interior, and most of it is on the hard side. Also, these seats, they are not that comfortable. They need more support. They don't have quite enough cushioning, and over a long drive, you're definitely going to get fatigued. Now, the standard tech setup in this vehicle is actually pretty good. A standard 11.3-inch touchscreen that's bigger than the screen that you're getting in the base RAV4. And it's also got Google built-in, so your default navigation setup will be Google Maps, and you'll also have access to the Play Store. And that's a good thing, because since this is an electric GM product, there is no Apple CarPlay and there is no Android Auto. Now, at least Chevy is going to throw in 8 years of free data to power this infotainment stuff, so you're going to be able to use it for a long time without needing to pay for a subscription. But still, we like giving consumers choice, and not having CarPlay and Auto, it still feels like a disappointment. Now, we should note that right after we purchased this vehicle, it did have to return to the dealership for a tech issue.
So I picked up our Chevy Bolt from the dealer, brand new car, 15 miles on the odometer. As soon as I got home, the entire infotainment system went blank. Turned the car off, let it sit for an hour, thinking maybe it'll reset itself. Nothing happened. Let the car sit overnight, started it up in the morning, infotainment screen was still blank. So I had to take the car back to the dealer, and they had to reflash the infotainment system. It only took about 30 minutes overall, but the fact that this car broke on the literal first day that we owned it is kind of ridiculous.
Now, we also really like the control scheme in this vehicle. A lot of physical controls, and just like the Outback, all the climate controls are going to get real buttons and knobs. One thing to watch out for, only single zone automatic climate control. So if you and your passenger have a disagreement about temperature, you're gonna have to arm wrestle for it. Since this is a base trim, it's not going to get a wireless charging pad, but it is going to get 4 USB-C charging ports. However, the placement of the 2 ports up front, they're down here where you can't actually really see them from the driver's seat. Not great placement for those. The backseat is actually pretty roomy here in the Bolt EV, but the problem is that just like the front, the seats themselves, they are really not comfortable. They are too firm, they are too flat, and I think that after about an hour sitting back here, I would need to get out and stretch a bit. It's also not roomy enough that it's gonna be a great family vehicle. I think if you have a rear-facing car seat back here, you're definitely going to need to move this front seat up to fit it, but I don't wanna dwell too long in the back seat because there's something I really want to show you. The battery and charging are very important for EVs, and the Bolt, it's gotten serious upgrades in both of those departments. The battery now has a lithium iron phosphate chemistry instead of lithium ion, and you don't need to remember those chemistry vocabulary words. What you do need to remember is that means that this thing can be charged to 100% all the time. Most other EVs, you only charge them to 80% for daily use to keep the batteries working well, but Chevy actually encourages you to charge this one all the way up, and that means you'll get access to that almost 300 miles of range all of the time. Charging has also gotten a serious and much needed upgrade. This new Bolt, it charges 3 times faster than the old one, and it now has an NACS charge port, which means you can plug it directly into Tesla's supercharging network, and that makes this a much more viable road trip vehicle than the old one. That is, unless you need to bring a lot of things with you. There's only 16.2 cubic feet of cargo space behind the back seat of the Bolt EV. So you can either carry 4 people or all of their stuff, but probably not both together. We're so happy that the Bolt is back, and we're happy to try to put 20,000 miles on this thing, even if we won't be the most comfortable while doing so. And that is the biggest compromise for this vehicle. The seats, they aren't comfy. The ride quality, it's pretty bad and not comfy either. And the people sitting in the back, they're not even gonna get air, so they won't be comfy. The creature comforts, they have been a bit sacrificed in order to keep that price down, but we think that this still holds a lot of appeal as a daily commuter. Now, the Bolt has an Edmunds rating of 6.9, and that is tied with its chief rival, the Nissan Leaf. So if you're looking to go electric for less, those are two vehicles definitely worth checking out. Before we wrap things up, if you've been enjoying our videos, the best way to let us know is with a like. And if you want to keep up with our full 1-year road test program, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a single video. They're all bangers to me. So that's it. We've taken you through all 4 of the newest members of our fleet. And stick with us, because for the next year, we'll be getting up to plenty of adventure, shenanigans, and comparisons with all of them. And we can't wait to tell you what we like, what we don't like, and of course, what each of these blue machines is worth at the end of a year with us. Thanks for watching. Da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die. Right. Going to heal it again.